Welcome to Before They Change the World, where we explore the minds, ideas, and dreams of exceptional students working on inspiring projects before they change the world. This episode is hosted by me, David, and I had the pleasure of speaking with Jessica, who is the founder of Noriware, a startup that turns seaweed into plastic packaging, cutting the dependency on unsustainable fossil fuels, and making our packaging home compostable and even edible. We speak about how Noriware was born from an accident during a home experiment, the hurdles Jessica has had to overcome to turn this realization into a startup while being a student of international affairs, and I even got to see and touch one of their early prototypes. Jessica's perseverance and resilience has made this one of the most inspiring conversations I've had on the podcast, and I truly wish Jessica and her team all the best in the future. I hope you realize during this episode that if you set your mind on something, you can do it regardless of your background. All right, see you on the other side. The first question that I wanted to ask, and that I feel like many people listening to this might be wondering about, is how does a student of international affairs end up launching a chemistry-based startup? How did that happen?
Well, I didn't plan it at all.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually my holidays in Mexico that inspired me to do something like that. Mm-hmm. I was laying on the beach in Mexico, and it was the first time where I saw that much seaweed that was being washed up on the shorelines, which is why I started to ask myself, what does algae offer us in terms of economic commodities? What can you do with algae? What products already contain algae?
Yeah.
And I didn't really come up with anything smart. Mm-hmm. Only like nutritious supplements, which already exist, and cosmetic products such as moisturizers and everything. Okay. So that was not really like my field of interest. Mm-hmm. So when I returned to Switzerland and I had to study for an exam at high school, I came back to the thought of algae, and I started doing research, and then I found out so many beautiful things about how much more CO2 they sequester than forests or like land forests, or also how much oxygen they provide the earth with, and how they help combat climate change with, for example, they combat ocean acidification and so on. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was like really amazing. So I thought, what can we do to promote the economic demand so more algae will grow?
I see.
So I really started to go into that field, and then I found a paper that stated that algae are natural polymers, and you can extract like polysaccharides, and then with these you can make packaging materials out of it. And I thought that's super interesting, since that's not my field of studies. Mm-hmm. I don't know anything. I didn't know anything about that then. Right. And I wrote more and more about it, and how it is a circular material and super sustainable to turn it into bioplastics, and that it biodegrades naturally. You can add natural additives to make it more flexible, and so on. Okay. Yeah, so I thought that was super interesting. So I wrote my own paper about it, how to replace conventional plastics with algae-based packaging materials. Mm-hmm. And I did like a little analysis, and I didn't go that deep into the chemistry stuff. Mm-hmm. So after I wrote my paper, I saw a YouTube tutorial how to make plastics at home. So I ordered all the materials and made my own solution in the kitchen, and then I took the oven
tray?
Yeah, oven tray. I took that out and poured the solution into that, and just let it dry on my shelf. Mm-hmm. And in the morning, I actually had to go to the library to study for the exam. Yeah. And I was in such a hurry to get my favorite place in the library. Yeah. I was changing, and then I accidentally threw my pants into the experiment. And I was like, no. So I didn't have time to wash them. So I just took them and put them over a chair to let them dry. I went to the library, and then in the evening when I got home, I realized that the perfect plastic film had appeared on my pants, which I could just pull off. Wow. So I thought that was super interesting, but since I didn't since I don't have any knowledge in chemistry or material science, I didn't know why this happened on my pants, because the experiment in the tray didn't come out that nicely.
Oh, wow. So the pants here are crucial. You might have not figured out that something worked if it hadn't been for throwing the pants in there.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
So, yes, based on this, I wrote a business proposal first to send it to a firm, like a logistics firm, and they invited me to pitch, and they thought it's super interesting. They would like to support me, but they didn't have any research facilities. So because of that, I emailed every institute in Switzerland whether they could do research for me. But all of them said the same, that as an international affairs student from HSG, I don't have any knowledge in chemistry or material science whatsoever. So they would not, like, I need an expert or a specialist to guarantee this research. And then I thought, okay, you know what, I'm gonna write my own research proposal. So I tried to like figure out a way on how to acquire this kind of knowledge, like just a minimum so I can write a research proposal. So I did that and sent it to the leading professor for soft materials at ETH. And he actually, like, he set up a meeting within 2 days. Wow. And then he said yes within the first 5 minutes. So it was kind of nice.
Yeah, it's awesome. So that was, I mean, one of the questions I wanted to ask was what were like the critical breakthrough moments or aha moments or moments where you got support and stuff that like really led you here to where you are today. And I feel like the pants moments is definitely one. And then I guess getting support from this ETH professor was also.
Yes, because this actually gave me a lot of credibility also after that.
Yeah. So he was gonna, I don't know, join the team. I don't know if you were calling it a team or a startup at that point.
No, it was just a project.
Okay, a project.
Yeah, I just wanted to figure out like how it is it possible or not?
Right.
So how can we do it? How can we get from the raw algae to like a packaging material?
Yeah.
I actually wanted to do drinking cups because like at that point like there were no reusable cups, and I thought we could have a great impact there because you use it once. For example, at Joe and the Juice, you have your juice in your plastic cup and you throw it away. So because I worked for 3 years at Joe and the Juice, and I thought it's such a waste to use plastic cups. As
maybe maybe digging a bit deeper into that, like how big is the problem that you're trying to solve? You know, what's the severity of plastics as they exist now, and how are they so bad for the environment? Like why does it make sense to tackle this problem?
Okay,
I mean, I feel like many people already know or have a sense of the problem, but maybe you can like just clarify the magnitude of it.
It's really hard to like just say because of this there are a lot of things wrong within the packaging industry. If we just talk about plastics, for example, to produce plastics we take fossil fuels, which are taken out from the ground, and this is actually like carbon that is in a
sequestered.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we're taking this out and we produce plastics that is not degradable, and we're putting it back in the environment. So there's like problem number one. And then we also use a lot of toxic substances to produce plastics, like such as plasticizers, or you could, like there is one in particular that is super toxic. It's called phthalate. I don't know if I pronounce it correctly.
I don't know.
And this actually causes a lot of diseases. And also a lot of plastics ends up in the ocean, and turtles actually confuse it for food, and they eat it and they cannot digest it, and then they die. So it's horrible, like what it does to the environment in general, not just to turtles or animals, but I mean, in the end, this is like the plastic gets degrades into little fragments and called microplastics. And this, in the end, ends up in our food chain. So, that's because they also found microplastics in our blood nowadays.
So it's bad from many perspectives. I guess like the first one you pointed out, we're taking carbon out of a sequestered reservoir underground, and we're bringing it out into our ecosystems. And the way we're producing it doesn't biodegrade. And when you were talking about algae, what I found interesting is that the way that you got into solving the problem wasn't so much from let's replace the fossil fuels in the equation. It was like let's make algae useful so that we can grow more of it, because algae in itself can be a way of sequestering carbon and mitigating things like ocean acidification and stuff.
Exactly.
So It seems like a very noble cause, and I can totally understand why you're so passionate about this. From that moment where you met this professor, what are the major steps that you took, and where did you land? Where are you guys now? What's the state of things?
We had a lot of setbacks.
Setbacks, yeah.
And yeah, I think the hardest one was when you're studying, you always, like, when it's your passion, it's your first priority, right? But since you also want to finish your studies, it's kind of difficult to like do both at the same time in a good way. And I think the hardest point I had was when the research project was over with ETH, and I actually had to find a team or bring together a team that wants to pursue the vision with me. That was the hardest, actually. Also, I was in the middle of my exams when I had the last meeting with the professor from ETH, and he told me he thought it was super interesting, but he doesn't have the expertise to develop like a process to scale the process up, to scale the material up to make it like fittable for the market. And also, he was already like within another InnoSwiss project, so he also didn't have the capacity to do so. And this was also like at the same day, I also got the message from someone I wanted to work with, actually a co-founder, and she told me she didn't want to pursue anymore. And also on that day, I had another meeting with an MIT professor. He was actually from Switzerland, and I consulted him with the possibility to turn it into an InnoSwiss project. And he told me that like my idea it's not an innovation in that sense, so it would not be accepted by InnoSwiss. Okay. So a lot of setbacks at the same day, also in the middle of exams phase, so kind of hard. Yes, but oh my God. It was okay in the end. Like you have to always, when you're like deprived of sleep, you always feel the worst. You always have that. Yeah. But then you sleep one night, and then the next it looks totally different, and then you look at it from a different perspective, and you're suddenly again motivated to do more because it's your passion. You want to pursue it.
Wow. And so, okay, through all these setbacks, I guess there must have been also good moments in between, right?
Sorry. Of course.
And what's like to counter the previous argument? What would be like, good, especially good moments?
So after the collaboration with ETH ended, that was in January 2021. I applied for the Entrepreneurial Talents Program from University of St. Gallen. That was actually quite nice. I got in there, so you also receive a little bit of funding, you get coaching, legal advice, and so on. You also get like, you are exposed in a big network. You have pitches in front of VCs that give you feedback and everything. So that was really, really nice. And there I really learned more about the business side, since, I don't study business administration, but international affairs is also like still at HSG, but it's something completely different. And then I tried to find co-founders and team members, and that was actually quite difficult. And then I finally found my co-founder. His name is Stefan Greder. He's a mechanical engineer and has worked in the Institute for Plastics Technology for 5 years. So he really knows the field. And together we also have a material scientist in our team, Julius Thoma. I know him from when I was living in a 20-people WG. And he studied chemistry, but I got alarmed from a friend that he changed his studies to material science. Okay. So I texted him what do you think of this idea? Would you want to be part of it? And that was actually quite nice, because the first time I met him, he has already worked a 6-month research plan on how to get there and how to improve the material. Oh wow! So that was quite nice.
That's amazing. You don't have to look very far sometimes.
Yeah, I had I don't know how many talks with different material science. It's also like material science is super rare. So to find them, I had to write so many people. I wrote the material science club from ETH, so they would send out an email to everyone. I texted everyone I knew from ETH whether they know any material scientists or chemists.
Where are they hiding?
But Stefan, my co-founder, I found actually, I was pitching at Startfeld, and someone in the audience came to me in the end and told me like he knows someone who might be a good fit for the team. So that's how I got to know him.
Nice.
But our first meeting almost didn't happen because I texted him. Oh no, sorry, he texted me, like his friends told him about this opportunity. And then I was like, yes, I would like to exchange ideas. Would you sign the NDA, please? He refused to sign it. And then I was like, well, that's odd. It's actually super common in that field to sign an NDA if you talk about like secret business ideas. And like I wanted also to like really mention the formulations and the materials we use. So I didn't want to just share it without security.
Yeah. Of course.
And then he was like, yeah, no, I don't want to sign it.
What would his reasoning be? Like, why?
Yeah, because he works in the field of polymer technology. He didn't want to be...
constrained.
Yes.
Yeah, because sometimes, like, once you know the information, it's like...
Exactly. You cannot work in this field anymore. I mean, it really depends on how the NDA is structured, but still.
Wow.
So that was his concern. And then I sent him the job description on like what it is about, because obviously he didn't know.
And then it's like a bit clearer, like...
Yes. And then within 5 minutes I got to sign the NDA. So it was kind of clear then.
I see. So he didn't know like what area of material science or what area of...
He also didn't know about what it was. He thought like he could help me because he works in this institute, but he didn't know that I was actually looking for a co-founder.
Oh, I see.
So
Yes,
so I sent him the job description and then it was clear.
Okay.
So we had the first conversation. It was amazing. Then we set up a plan on like how to move forward and how to collaborate with the Institute for Polymer Technology. And then we handed in like an application, and with this application we were awarded for Plastics for Zero Emission. And then we got a grant for which we were able to, like it was an innovation booster with which we were able to collaborate with the Institute.
Nice.
So that was quite nice,
Okay, awesome. So positive.
Yeah, super positive. Yes, and then that started in June. So there we really started to look at how, like, what is possible, what kind of process could we do to scale it up, to make it economically efficient and everything. And in September we realized we have this money until December. Then from that moment on, we will have no money. So we also had to apply for different grants, and VCs were actually not a good start point, because you need to have a little bit more.
Yeah.
And so we applied for this grant, but we only found out about it like 1.5 weeks before the application, before the set deadline date.
Yeah.
And so we had 1.5 weeks to plan a whole year of research. And also for this grant, you had to already establish a company. So to found the company already.
Oh, wow. Which here is not so cheap.
Yes.
So it's not like, I just go have a meeting and like, company ready.
Exactly. Yeah. And we founded an AG because it makes more sense for our company. And we had 1.5 weeks to get the money to establish the company, like set everything up with the lawyer, but also write the application for the grant.
Wow.
So to plan the whole research thing, and we also had to like have LOIs for that. So we had to contact customers.
God, I'm so much respect for it. Like.
It was quite challenging actually.
Wow.
We didn't sleep for 1 week. But then we had it in on Friday. I remember it. So it was on the 30th of September. We handed it in, and we were also at this legal counsel to sign to sign that you want to be a company. And I remember I was so tired. I didn't sleep at all.
Wait, what's my signature again?
No, and I actually I did such a horrible mistake there, because they told me I have to on this one document you have to put your initials on every piece of paper.
Yeah.
But I understood it wrong, because in German it's like a very similar word, and I accidentally put a cross on it because I put
so X.
Yes, like an X on every. And then my co-founder looked at me and was like, "Jess, what did you do?" And I was like, "What did we have to do?" And he was like, "Your initials." It's like, shit. So sleep deprived.
Yeah. Damn, but I understand.
But actually, I mean, I was super happy with that we were able to hand it in, but I would have never expected to get it, because so I actually already wanted to apply for other grants, just to have the security so we can move on from December on.
Yeah.
And then my co-founder told me, let's wait for the result, and I was like, no, I don't think we're gonna get it. I don't think that the application we wrote was that good. We only had 1 week, and then 1 month later, I got the call that I received the grant. And I was like, what? Wow. How?
Yeah. How much are we talking about? Like, if it's public, like how big is this grant?
I don't know if I...
No, it's not public.
No.
Okay. But it was enough for...
Yeah, for a year.
For a year?
Yeah.
Okay. And what were you guys spending money on before the grant, and also like what were you going to use it for?
So our focus and our whole capacity goes to the product development. So what we do is...
Let's talk about the product.
Yes.
Yeah, cool.
So what we did so far is we tried out different formulations and produced granules. So if you want to...
Yeah.
You can just... Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so
these are made. So actually, you have the seaweed, and from the seaweed, you can get through the extraction process. You get an extract, so the natural polymer.
Yeah.
And with this polymer, you make a solution, and you add natural additives and modify it, and then you produce the granules. And these granules you can put in the existing machinery, and you get films out of it, such as these.
Okay, so this is like the step before the film.
Exactly.
Okay, but they're exactly the same material. Wow, man, this is so cool. And how strong is this? I don't want to break it.
Yeah, you can. It's pretty tensile.
Wow.
Strong.
Yeah, that's so sick. And this,
but it won't be that thick. It will be thinner.
Okay. But so in terms of so this is fully biodegradable.
Yeah.
But
also, it is not just it's home compostable. So it doesn't need additional energy. That's also like an issue within the packaging industry. There are so many different materials on the market that state that they are home compostable, but this is like it is only compostable within an industrial composting facility, which
requires heat and
exactly
stuff,
yeah.
Okay, so this you could just put in nature anywhere in your home, and how long does it take? Do you know?
It depends on the formulation, but between also on the application, but between 2 weeks and 3 months.
Okay, and it's also edible then technically. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, we only use natural materials.
That's so cool.
So our vision is because it happens sometimes that it ends up in the ocean, and our vision is that even if it ends up in the ocean, it doesn't harm whether the environment nor the animals.
Yeah. If you ever want to do like a big publicity stunt, I guess, drinking from a cup and then eating the cup.
Yeah, that would be something.
Pretty cool display of like the technology. I mean, that's what makes this so amazing. And if people see that it's edible, then I don't know, it just becomes like a very friendly material to use and work with. So that's so cool. Amazing. So the initial YouTube tutorial that you saw to create plastic at home, this was using also a material that could be created from algae. Was that the premise? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And so then the process of transforming algae from algae to plastic, that was already a chemical process that people knew about, right?
Yes.
Okay. So
it's not like my invention.
Right. So where are you guys trying to innovate, and where do you guys want to really push the boundaries? And you don't have to share how you're doing that, but like in what part of the process?
So for us, we innovate within the process to scale it up.
Okay.
Because the material itself is used in the industry, but for different applications, not for packaging.
Okay.
But it is like by nature quite challenging to scale it up.
Okay.
So that's how we try to modify it.
Okay.
So it is possible to scale it up with the existing machinery.
Right. Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, I feel like this is such a difficult problem that, like, even if you're designing a specific component for a machine, that could already, like, unlock a total new business model. And I feel like a company that really comes to mind also in Switzerland, which maybe you've spoken to, but Planted.
Yeah.
There's so many companies, right, that are also doing these fake meat products. But like as far as I understood it, a lot of their IP was in this extrusion process that they had, which was a lot of like, industrial design of machines. So I feel like maybe it's kind of similar at a high level. So it's really in the process of manufacturing, not like that
we're not innovating
like a chemistry innovation or something.
I mean, we are doing stuff on the chemistry side as well.
Yeah.
I cannot go into that. But it's like a combination of both.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
And for us, it's like the packaging market is huge. They're being plastics produced like by the seconds, like a huge amount.
Yeah.
But not just plastics, also other materials. And we really want to our vision is to make algae.
Ubiquitous or like?
To economically promote algae demand. Okay. So it helps to remove nitrogen out of the ocean that is actually mainly caused by agriculture.
I see.
And also to sequester CO2 and everything.
Yeah.
So that is our plan.
Right.
Because algae has like great potential.
Yeah.
It is insane.
Right. So if you manage to produce something with algae at a low cost, and there's a margin there, then people will be incentivized to like give you that algae, right? Okay. Yeah. No, that's super cool. So what's you said it's a huge industry. There's also many types of plastics, right? So what are you guys choosing to go for first? Like what would be a vertical that you guys want to attack first?
So we try to replace the traditional polybag used for direct textile shipments. So for example, if you order something at Zalando, you get your t-shirt, your jeans, whatever, is packed in a flexible bag. That is, up until now, it's polyethylene. And that's actually exactly the kind of film. It's these thin films that are really difficult to recycle because mostly they are contaminated with, for example, nutritious oil when you put it in the bin, so in your normal trash. And this is the kind that will not be collected and sorted. Also because it's, for example, if you're, there are a lot of collecting and sorting systems in developing countries. And they get in for plastic bottles and so on, they get money for exchange if they collect it. But for these thin films, they will not collect it because the worth of money they get in exchange for it is just too low. So there we see a really big impact to just replace these flexible films because they are used in so many different areas. So also, for example, pallet wrap. That's just it's so like it's being used. They need it, but it's so unnecessary that you use something that's toxic.
Right. And the aesthetics there and the exact like product quality in terms of like visual or thickness and things like that. There, I guess there's like less of they're going to be less picky, right, in that industry.
And with the polybag within the fashion industry, we also see the willingness to pay from not just the customer, but also from the consumer side.
So I want to talk a little bit about scalability. So imagine you guys like succeed. You guys like are on an amazing path, right? And you're going from vertical to vertical and scaling up like the types of industries you can go into. How do you see the future working, like this system that you're developing at scale? Like what is the future that you dream about?
our dream is to have our own farm, actually.
Okay.
And algae are actually quite nice to scale it up. So you don't have, for example, if you plant corn, it's mostly a monoculture. And for monocultures, they use a lot of pesticides. And also monocultures are known to ruin the soil health. And what's so amazing about algae is that they don't require land to grow. They grow up to 1 meter a day without the need for fertilizers or fresh water. They grow within the water in the ocean. And now something really cool comes. The cool thing is that you can grow them in a vertical polyculture regenerative farming system. So you don't just cultivate algae, but you also grow shellfish such as mussels and oysters. They also don't need any inputs. So what's so nice about that is that, first of all, it helps to restore the marine ecosystem by creating a natural habitat for fish species. And on the other hand, they remove nitrogen and sequester CO2.
Yeah.
So that's the great thing about it.
And I guess when you harvest it, you basically just chop off some parts, but then it grows again, which definitely doesn't happen with fossil fuels.
No, but exactly this, yeah.
Okay, amazing. So do you think I don't know exactly about the numbers, but if you're able to scale enough, the volume or the rate of growth of algae and the throughput of a system that you could potentially develop could compete with the volumes of plastic that are being generated every day?
It's difficult to say at the moment. I mean, the packaging industry is so big.
Yeah.
And I don't think that we can replace everything with algae.
No.
But that's the beautiful thing at the moment. There are coming up so many startups that do something with sustainable materials.
Yeah.
I mean, you can also make sustainable materials out of cellulose, out of mushrooms, out of agricultural waste.
Right.
And
okay. Yeah.
So you cannot replace everything with one material. There has to be a lot of different materials to be able to solve the problem in a wholesome, sustainable way.
Yeah. I agree with your point. I guess it never needs to get to that limit, but at least it can have a significant dent on the plastic industry. So I want to talk a bit about the startup life that you're living and that you're going through. So you've already touched on a few points of how it's been challenging, how it's been rewarding at points as well. I think one thing that I can see that recurs is that you have a crazy amount of resilience and resourcefulness. You don't take no for an answer, and you are not scared to go the brute force way and message a ton of people in whatever area, and you're not scared of venturing outside of your field and asking questions. So that's super nice. I wonder how you see it from the inside. How you think what you think made you succeed in this and made you. I mean, succeed is a big word because
I just wanted to say, I don't have a product yet.
Right. Well, you definitely have something, right? And you have taken some steps in building a team and forming an incorporated company that are not easy, especially coming from your background. So, what do you think are the qualities or the mindset that has helped you?
So I think the biggest lesson is to whoever tells you that you won't be able to succeed. It doesn't matter if you believe in your vision.
Okay.
You just need to continue.
Right.
So never stop, never give up.
Okay.
I think that's most probably also the hardest lesson I had to learn, because you have a lot of setbacks. It always looks super easy when you look, for example, at the LinkedIn post
or the landing page.
Exactly. But there were a lot of challenges, and it's definitely not easy if that's not your field of study.
Yeah. So what do you think is the most challenging part when it comes to dealing with investors and finding more investment for your project, because it is very costly, right, to develop this technology and to scale it up, and to like turn it into a product that people can actually use. So yeah, what's been the most challenging part there?
So I guess that you have to plan everything ahead. And that's quite challenging if you don't have the mechanical properties of your material already. And you also need to know like what's your first application, but also what's your second and your third. Like in which field do you want to go? I think that's quite challenging, especially if you don't have an MVP already. I mean, we know into which field we're going, and our investors actually think that that's like a great start to do so, but there's always pressure from all different stakeholders, and also the customers also all want to add like some desires. They would like to improve the product a little bit there, and it's just really hard to please everyone. Yeah,
right. So I also forgot to ask, like, how big is the team right now, and what is your day-to-day look like? If there is any regularity in your days.
Yeah, it's quite irregular, I'd say, because sometimes I work in the office at ETH every day, or the whole day. But there are also times where we visit companies and brainstorm together, with customers, like what can we do with what kind of formulations could we use there, blah blah blah. But I think the coolest thing sometimes for me, because it's not my field, is that at some days I'm standing by like compounding machines or extrusion machines, and I'm actually part of developing like a material with a machinery process. And I would have never guessed that I would ever end in that field. Yeah. So I think that's the coolest part. Yeah. But coming back to your question with the team, so we are a very big team at the moment, but not all of them work 100%. So with the research grant, we are able to put some people like on an hourly basis per week on the project. So most of our team members are working 50%. Okay. And it's a lot of students then? No.
Okay.
No, just 2 students. And me, I'm also a student.
Yeah. Oh, right. I forgot that. Crazy. So you're going to what's your plan for graduating?
So I actually, 2 weeks ago, I finished with studying. So I had my last exam.
Okay.
But I still have to write the thesis.
And are you trying to get, it would be ideal if you could do a thesis that is related to this, right?
Yes, I already have the professor for it, and I also have the subject on what I'm going to analyze. I cannot go into detail. Okay. A lot of confidential stuff happening in your life.
But I guess it's like very specific to your business. Yes, it's
very, very specific, yeah.
Okay. Well, that's great. That's like win-win whenever people can manage to do that. So then, like these part-time people, they're like working in labs already. They just have like another job on the side, or?
Oh no, they're all like everyone who works with us expect 3 people, but they are hired by the institute. So they work in the Institute for Polymer Technology. So they all have like backgrounds within that area. So we have material scientists, plastics technologists, chemists, and engineers. Yeah. And the cool thing is that they can all consult each other because they're all sharing the same office. So every day, like at least 2 people work on it. So there's like continuous development of it. Yeah. And so when I think about your business, there's like so many things that you have to think about, including, I see you nodding. I guess you're currently taking a role of team lead, or I don't know what exactly the role is, but you're probably overseeing a lot of things, right? And I guess there's like logistics, there's chemistry, there's like team, legal, all of like fundraising, I guess also takes a lot of time whenever you have to do that. But yeah, so are you doing like an oversight of all of these things, and then your team members help you with the specifics? Or? Yes. So like with the lead, I'm not alone. Like I have, let's say I created the vision for it. But like I always consult my team with everything.
Okay.
Especially my co-founder. I mean, we call every day like 6 times.
Nice.
So we update each other with everything and consult each other with everything. So, but yeah, it's kind of hard to overlook the whole process because you have to have the funding, your production partners, your suppliers, your customers, then your whole team, and like within your team, they do the research, and then you also have to overlook everything there. So the engineering process, the chemistry process, the materials process itself, like which materials are we using? Are these materials are the materials all environmental friendly? And what's the carbon emission from these materials to extract it? Everything. So there is a lot of things you have to overlook, and also these things need to be certified. Also, if you want to go into food applications. And composting facilities, it's just it's a lot to overlook.
Okay, wow, it's impressive.
But it's like a new challenge every day.
Yeah, and I feel like you're just learning so much.
So much, yeah.
We always end with like some rapid fire questions that can be about anything, and you can answer as long or short as you want. So the first one is, what gets you out of bed most mornings?
The question is really like, what gets me to sleep? Because I always when I go to sleep, I'm looking forward to the next morning so I can get up and go to work. Because I always think about the stuff I want to do the next day. So it's really, Noriware gets me out of the bed every day. I have to have some sleep techniques to actually be able to fall asleep.
Do you have anything you'd like to share on sleep techniques?
No, sometimes it's also really annoying. So sometimes I have to watch a series to be able to fall asleep. So I don't recommend it.
Right. And it's like, I guess, excitement, but also sometimes stress. Like I've felt this as well, that it's just my mind keeps spinning, keeps thinking about stuff.
Yeah. And also, there are also nights that I get up and start working. Yeah. Because I don't want to lose the thought.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Do you like keep a notepad next to your bed or something to write down ideas?
I always go. It's actually stupid, but I always get up, sit on the table, and just take my laptop and write it down.
No matter the time.
Yeah. And sometimes I also just brainstorm a lot. Like, what could I do?
Yeah. Is there a company or startup that you particularly admire?
So there are actually a lot of startups that I really, really admire. Soho Tree, for example.
Okay.
It's actually my phone case is out of it. It's from apple peel leather. And it's actually the startup of one of my best friends. So if you want to...
Apple peel?
Yeah.
Jeez.
That's super cool.
Wow. Okay.
I also have my wallet from the brand. But I also admire traceless materials. They make sustainable materials out of residual waste. And another one would be Formo.
Okay.
They make like cheese, like vegan cheese.
Okay.
And I just love what they're doing and how they're doing it, and just their whole team and everything. It's really inspiring.
Yeah. So all of these are also material science and transforming low-value products into valuable products. Amazing. Cool. Yeah, I mean, that's great if you know the founders of these companies. Maybe not all of them, but it must be a great support network, right? Maybe a bit of an open question, but does the future trouble you or excite you?
Oh my God.
You can go in any direction. Both. Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of anxiety. Because you never know, like, if your technology is going to work, if someone's going to invest, if you always think about if you are good enough. And
imposter syndrome is always
I think that's
there.
part of it.
Yeah.
That's normal.
Yeah.
And the other thing is a lot of excitement as well, because I love my team. I love working with my team. It's amazing.
That's great.
And also the customers. And what's great about packaging is that it is needed in every industry. So this actually excites me a lot to be able to work with so many different people.
And that you'll...
From different fields as well.
Yeah.
Really diverse.
And that you'll probably, like, if this succeeds in any way, in any industry, like you'll be able to like actually see that in reality. You'll be able to interact with your own product and see it in the supply chain and stuff, and that's really sick.
Yeah. I think it was the coolest, but also the saddest moment within this path was in January. We did the first machine trials, and I was in the library because I had to study for the exams.
Oh my!
And this upset me so much, but luckily my team members called me on FaceTime and showed me like that it worked.
Oh.
And I was so happy about it.
Yeah, it's like missing the birth of somebody else.
Yes.
Yeah. Or, I mean, I was gonna say your baby, but that's impossible in your case. But I guess for like a male parent, you know, like missing the birth of baby or something.
That was actually what I said. Like my baby is being born, and I'm not even there.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so if an angel investor gave you $1 million right now, what would you do with it? Wow, your brain is really clocking. You're taking this question seriously.
No, so I think there are two things I would 100% do is, first of all, I would acquire machines right now, because our biggest or our main issue with time is that every time we want to go in the machine, we have to clean it, and this takes one whole day and 2 people.
Okay.
So a lot of resources.
Yeah.
And that's only this is only because the machines that are being used in the polymer technology are used for high performance polymers, and they can be heated up to 200 to 300 degrees. So, for example, if we don't clean out the machines, then the materials that are like still stuck somewhere could influence our experiments, and then we wouldn't know like if it came out like that if we also cleaned it.
Yeah.
So I would definitely buy a machine.
Right. Okay.
So we can do more experiments. Yes.
And in terms of team, if you had to invest in hiring people, is there a specific like talent, skill that you're really looking for? Also for the people maybe listening, like what the team is looking for?
We actually already have a great team together, like with chemists and material scientists and engineers. But no, from that side at the moment, no.
Okay.
I mean, I would just hire them like to work 100% for Noriware and not just 50%.
Yeah.
I think that's also like a big issue, or not a big issue, but would be nicer for all of them to work 100%.
Okay. Awesome. Well, that's all I had. I guess the last thing is how can people find out more about you and your project and follow your progress?
Oh, I guess on LinkedIn.
Yeah, you're quite popular on there.
Yeah, I don't know what I did there. But yes, I would say LinkedIn.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thanks so much.
Thank
you.
It was a pleasure. It was quite fun.
Yeah. If you've enjoyed this episode, please follow or subscribe to the show on whatever platform you use. And don't forget to share this podcast with anyone interested in entrepreneurship, university student life, and the rising minds and technologies of the future before they change the world.